Welcome to the Tough Decisions Network for Entrepreneurs. I'm Dan Hanford, and my wife, Danae, and I interview successful people sharing stories behind tough decisions that they've had to make along their journey as an entrepreneur. Before we get started, let's hear from one of our sponsors. Have you ever thought about investing in real estate, but find yourself so busy that you don't have time for it? Do you have FOMO, which is the fear of missing out? At HanfordCapital.com, we help investors with passive real estate investments that project better returns than traditional investment vehicles such as the stock market. If you'd like to find out more about our passive real estate investments, visit HanfordCapital.com. That's HANDFORD Capital.com. We will jump on a call with you to discuss your investment goals and to see if our investments are a good fit for you. This advertisement is not to be construed as an offer or recommendation to buy or sell a security. Visit HanfordCapital.com. On the podcast with us today is Josh Herron. He is with a company called Southwind. He's the founder of that company, and he is operating in 6 different states and has a team of over 200 people, and they operate and manage companies like 1-800-GOT-JUNK and You Move Me. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Dan.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for being with us. And just wanted you to get us started today by telling our listeners exactly where your focus is as an entrepreneur right now.
Sure. Yeah. So currently focusing on running our 8 different companies as the CEO of Southwind. We're one of the largest consumer-focused home services companies in Kansas City. And we've been growing remote locations in places like Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, in addition to Salt Lake City, Reno, Nevada, and a couple other regional locations.
How long have you been an entrepreneur?
Since 2008, I started my first business, which was an OxyFresh carpet cleaning location.
I was going to say, I kind of heard a little chuckle there because I know that you're probably like most entrepreneurs where it probably started a lot earlier than that, but that was your first real business.
Yeah, that was the first one that was real for sure. I think definitely had some entrepreneurial endeavors earlier than that, but that one was an actual business with employees.
Awesome. Well, I want you to walk us through a tough decision that you've made as an entrepreneur that didn't really have that good of an outcome, and maybe some of the lessons that you learned through that tough decision.
Sure. So in 2010, my business partner, Tyler, and I were in the expansion mode. We had currently had a 1-800-GOT-JUNK business that was doing pretty good. We'd started a moving company. At that point, it was called Easy Moves. We had a carpet cleaning company called OxyFresh. And then we had got approached with an opportunity to start a painting business. We knew we were super busy, but it sounded like a great opportunity for us to get in with a really good brand that we felt strongly we could grow here in the Kansas City area. So we took the leap. We decided to open the location. The startup costs were pretty expensive, but we had this belief that we were going to be able to build a world-class home service brand that painted people's homes. So what ended up happening was we had a lot of other things going on. At the same time, we're opening all these businesses. We're also getting married. We were both getting married around the same time. We were both having our first children around the same time. So a ton going on. And about 4 months in, my business partner, Tyler, walks to me and he says, I think we should shut down the painting business. I don't think we're going to make it. So for me, I'm a fighter. And I had this internal belief that him and I could do just about anything as long as we set our mind to it and we tried really, really hard. He's more of the analytical type, looking at the numbers and the spreadsheets weren't making sense to him. Our costs were all out of whack. Our each job wasn't going well, but I kind of chalked it up to, well, it's a startup. So 4 months in, he had known it was probably not going to work. I convinced him to let us continue to try for the next 6 months until I realized at that point that, I should have listened to him a long time ago. After, several thousands of dollars, almost $100,000 had been wasted over those next 6 months, we realized it was time to shut our doors.
What was it about that situation that, caused the business not to be able to become profitable and to continue to, grow it? Because obviously you have this experience with all these other companies and you're doing really well. And now you have this painting business that you try to, pour some money in and some, effort in, and it's just not going well.
Yeah. First and foremost, we didn't do our due diligence. We had this belief that all businesses are just businesses. And there's a technical component that we completely underestimated. So the first thing is, we weren't ready to take on an opportunity like that. We didn't have the time to invest in the business, nor did we have the expertise to understand how to do it in a way that was going to help us become successful.
So what did your partner think when he told you, 6 months prior to you guys actually being able to close it? What was he thinking that made him want to, kind of ride your coattails and go on for the next 6 months?
I think he didn't want to let me down. At the end of the day, him and I we're a good team. He's always protecting the back end. And I have an eternal belief that, if enough good people get together, they can just about make anything happen. And this was an instance where I was wrong. We all worked really, really hard, but we simply just didn't understand the business. That 6 months that we held on, it burned through basically all of our savings that we had in the business. None of our job sites were being managed properly, and it was causing us a lot of stress on the back end, and ultimately causing us to fail and decide that it was time to close our doors. How
much money did you lose in that endeavor?
Roughly $150,000. And at that point, we were pretty young entrepreneurs, and we had a couple businesses, 3 businesses, 2 of which we were making good money on. But, that was kind of all that we had at that point. And that's why I think that's really why I wanted to hold on so tightly. Is like, man, we had invested so much into it. I couldn't think of what it would be like to walk away and just say, all of that money doesn't matter anymore. And, we need to move on to something else. So that was foolish of me. I think the best lesson I learned is don't hold on to something too long. There's definitely grit and determination, and those things are super important in being an entrepreneur. People are going to tell you that it's not going to work or certain things aren't worth it. But then, if you look at the numbers and you look at the strategy and you still can't find a way to make it work, then there may be an opportunity for you to, cut your losses early and not take, such a large loss at the end.
So let's shift here a little bit and talk about a tough decision that you have made as an entrepreneur that had a really positive and really good outcome, and maybe some of the lessons that you learned through that decision.
Sure. So in 2015, we started our first remote 1-800-GOT-JUNK location. It was in Omaha, Nebraska. We took our best truck team member, the guy who was the best guy in the field for us, and we said, hey, this is a great opportunity for you. Do you want to run a business? And he said, yes, of course. So just like that, we paid for a U-Haul truck to go pick up his stuff and move him to Omaha, where we took over a location. 6 months down the road, regardless of our record-breaking revenue and the things that we were doing well in the business, it became apparent to us that the leader wasn't going to make it. And it wasn't because he wasn't trying hard. It was because we didn't give him the learning, the development, and the tools to be successful. So we had to ask him to come back to Kansas City, which he did. And from that, we learned that, man, if we're going to be investing in people, we need to give them as much knowledge as we possibly can. We need to teach them everything that we knew so that when they got to their markets, they could be successful, which that thought ends up turning into a curriculum that we developed for future entrepreneurs that are in our organization. So since then, we've launched 6 different companies, all with homegrown talent, and we've been a lot more successful. I mean, our leaders have done amazing things. If it wasn't for the first leader that was in the Omaha market not doing well, we would have never got to where we are today.
So you took a decision that seemingly was an easy decision to put that person up in Omaha, and then turn that really into a tough decision of saying, hey, this isn't working out. We need to bring them back. And instead of just letting that person go because they weren't performing, bringing them back and actually investing in teaching and the knowledge for that particular person on your team to allow them to be able to excel. Is that person still with you?
He is. Yeah, he runs our largest 1-800-GOT-JUNK franchise in Kansas City, a $7 million organization. So
wow, that's
it worked
exciting
out for both of us. Yeah, it was a really good experience for all of us. I mean, it was a bad experience at first, but ultimately what we ended up learning and what we ended up being able to take away from it was positive for everybody involved. And, it goes to show all of us, if you focus and you develop your people and you spend time coaching and leading, that you can expect awesome outcomes. And if you don't, you get out what you put in. And we learned that hard lesson that way.
So what training system or process or platform did you put in place to make sure that as you continue to, hire on people to, like you said, cultivate them in your own culture or whatever and teaching them your own systems? What are some things that you did or you're doing right now that allows you to be able to train those people?
Yeah, so what I think the seismic change that happened in our organization is we were spending a lot of time teaching people. We were never capturing the information. Like we were never downloading the knowledge that we had and putting it in documents so we could reteach it. We would do great inspirational meetings and nobody would capture it. So that meeting was lost forever. And the other people who could have benefited from that meeting never got the opportunity to, because if they weren't in that room, it didn't exist. So what we realized is that there's all these times that happen in our business that if we're going to spend the time coaching and leading, like the more information we capture, the better. It would allow us to create systems that we could put people through to help teach them the relevant information, whether it be how to hold somebody accountable or how to coach effectively or, how to run day-to-day operations. Just about anything you could think of, we were teaching it, but only the people who were in that room were taking advantage of the learning. So that was a huge change in our organization. We started creating a ton of documents, which we then digitized. And now we have a really robust training document that allows us to take an entry-level teammate to an entrepreneur in 2 years.
Josh, talk a little bit about the strategy or strategies that you've developed as an entrepreneur that you use whenever you're facing a tough decision.
Yeah. So, for me, I'm lucky enough to have a really good business partner, and him and we can tackle the decisions together most of the time. So the best strategy we have is we lay out all of the facts on the table. These are the details. These are the numbers. This is the black and white of it. And then we whiteboard, what our opportunities are. And then we'll whiteboard what the threats are. Then we also add what our perceived outcome is, or what are we trying to accomplish here? And then we basically talk it out. I mean, we go through every detail to make sure that we're not leaving any stones unturned. And then if you do it the right way and you really understand what outcome you're trying to achieve, you can work backwards to help understand what needs to happen from a learning and the development standpoint to get you to whatever outcome you're trying to achieve.
So I want to talk about a series of questions that we call the trifecta. It's 3 favorite things from you as an entrepreneur. So the first thing is what is your favorite technology that you use in business every day that makes your life easier?
Oh man, for me, I have an iPhone. Using the notes section on the iPhone is the single most important thing I do every single day. We talked about capturing information from a training and development standpoint when we were coaching others. I use the note section very similar. If I'm talking to somebody, I'm taking detailed notes on my phone, and then I can go back and reference them back. I can reference back to them from my laptop because Apple Notes, it works on on any kind of Mac product. And having that sync up has been super helpful for me.
What's a favorite quote that you've heard that's helped you as an entrepreneur?
So I'm looking at one on my wall right now. I don't know if you guys have read Shoe Dog before by Phil Knight, but my favorite quote is, "The cowards never started and the weak died along the way. That leaves us."
And what's a book that you've read that has either changed the way you do business or affected the way you make decisions?
I'm going to give you 2 books that I think that are super important. The first one will be Start With Why with Simon Sinek wrote. I think that was really, really important in the development of our organization, trying to understand that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and helped us create a soul of who we wanted to become. And my second book is one that I give to all of the leaders in our organization, and it's Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. One of the best books ever written on teaching people how to use soft skills as a way to influence others.
So Josh, what's the next thing for you on your vision board or your dream board right now?
Yeah, for me, I mean, we've been working really diligently on Southwind and creating a platform to develop more leaders and to get them into more businesses and create more entrepreneurs. So we're launching our first entrepreneurship program where we're taking open applicants. Up until this point, all applicants had come internal. So we'll be opening it up to the different areas that we serve. And we have a third-party verification where we're going to ask them to shoot little videos of themselves explaining why they think they'd be a great entrepreneur, and obviously fill out some other important documents and do a predictive index and a couple other things. But it's huge for us because before, our pool of candidates is really limited to who we had in the doors. Now, people can come in and earn as they learn, and we can work with them for a 2-year period and then ultimately work to a point where we can get them to their own business.
So how can the listeners reach out to you if they want to get more information about this as applying to be, working with for you as an entrepreneur, but also just to kind of follow you some more and kind of, stay in touch with you?
Sure. If you check us out at wearesouthwind.com, there's an opportunity for them to apply online there. And then also just, you can follow us on Facebook as well on Instagram.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Josh, for taking some time out of your busy schedule to be with us today on the podcast. I really appreciate all the insights you've provided and, look forward to having you on a future podcast as you continue to grow your business and continue to grow as an entrepreneur. Thanks, guys. It was nice talking to you. Thank you for listening to the Tough Decisions Network. Be sure to visit toughdecisions.net to gain access to show notes for this episode and to join our free weekly entrepreneur email where we will send you news about the latest technology for your business, inspiring quotes, and the latest books for entrepreneurs. That's toughdecisions.net.